Our directions for Work Together 7-2 read, a partial worksheet of Ken's carpet cleaning for the month ended April 30th of the current year is given below. Also given is a blank form completing a balance sheet. Our instructor will guide you through the following example. Instruction number 1, prepare a balance sheet. So what we need to realize when we prepare a balance sheet is, would we look physically at this document? Spin around and look up here, because I want you to have some things that help you to remember what we're doing. You can see there's a column for numbers here on the left, and there's a column for numbers on the right. So think of that just like the very first thing that we learned in accounting, which was your accounting equation. That assets have to equal liabilities plus owner's equity, and we kept that equal sign as the dividing between the equation. So when you think about it that way, a balance sheet is going to be going through improving your accounting equation. So what goes on the left-hand side is going to be your total assets. And at the very bottom, you're going to have a number. The number here for total assets needs to equal the number here that's going to be total liabilities and owner's equity. If it does not equal, that means somewhere, somehow we have made a mistake and we need to find and fix it, because that's one of the things that happens. And it may be that we made a mistake on our income statement, and I'll get to that point. But I want you to remember, the purpose of a balance sheet is to prove your accounting equation. Left side assets, right side liabilities and owner's equity. Just like on our income statement, we have to put the heading of our account classification. So we're going to put the word assets, liabilities, and owner's equity on here. To make it stand out, though, it's going to be centered. Now, by default, Applia is going to center them there, but we want to center it so it's going to stand out just a little bit different. Okay? So we have a partial section of a balance sheet, or a partial section of a worksheet that's given here. And really, truly, the only numbers that they gave you is just the balance sheet columns. Eventually, you're going to have the whole entire worksheet that you're going to need to complete. And you need to remember which section that you get your numbers from. And it's important that we get our numbers from the balance sheet section, not the trial balance, because we have adjusted our prepaid insurance and we've adjusted our supplies for things that were used up. If you don't use the numbers from here and you use trial balance, it for sure will not come out. Got her? So let's go through and fill in the left-hand side of assets. So what you have to be able to identify is, looking at this list here, what are your asset accounts? Well, your asset accounts should have a debit balance. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side with the word asset. Actually, I'm going to start in the very top, and I'm going to put in Ken's carpet cleaning. Name of my document is a balance sheet. Balance sheets are prepared on a specific day. So not for month ended, for year ended. It's going to say just April 30th. So I'm going to go through and just fill in my assets. I'm going to do petty cash right below cash for 100. Below petty cash is going to be accounts receivable Betsy Russell for 1,650. Then I'm going to do accounts receivable Charles Healy . I have all of my assets listed on the left-hand side, and make sure that you have accounts receivable. For mine, they wanted to fill in accounts payable right away. And then you're going to use your calculator and take 9,500 plus 100 plus 1,650 plus 1,403 plus 220 plus 640. And for me, I got 13,513. Anyone else get that exact same number for total assets? Carly's nodding her head. Miss Bain, did you get that number? Or didn't get it added up yet? Isaac, did you get that number?
50,513.
Yeah. We match? Excellent. That's good. So all we do is list our assets on our left-hand side. Now on the right-hand side, I need to do liabilities. So that is going to be the very first heading. And notice that Applia by default does center it, but you will have some assignments that you're going to have to handwrite it, and it's important that it is centered. I have two liability accounts. Liability accounts are easy to identify because they always have the word payable on it. So I'm going to have accounts payable Lindgren Supply for $548. Then I have accounts payable Taxes by Thomas for 111. I put an extra 0 in there, or extra 1. Now there are only two liability accounts. They already have the heading total liabilities listed there, so I just have to go through and add them up. And I can do that one without a calculator. Below the phrase total liabilities, we're going to put in the heading owner's equity. And we only have one permanent owner's equity account, and that is going to be Ken Chernacki Capital. Drawing is a temporary account. A temporary account means we just keep track of what we use in it for a fiscal period, and then next fiscal period it'll start back to 0. But we have a balance for Ken Chernacki drawing. So we actually have to go through and use our calculator, and I'm going to show you what we need to do. Okay, so if you put the capital number 11,810 on your balance sheet will not come out, and it will never come out, because there are two things we have to account for. The first thing that we have to account for is that our business was in operation and we made money. How much money did we make? Kendra, did you find it? How much money did we make?
1,899.
Where'd you find that number?
The net income.
Your neighbor pointed it out to you? Right? On your partial section of your worksheet, do you see where it says net income? Okay, so it's telling you that really truly is the net income that they went through and got. And the other way that we would find it would be physically, right before we do the balance sheet, we prepare the income statement. And on the income statement would be the amount of money we made. So we have to go through and calculate our capital. And we calculate our capital by taking the capital that is on our section of the balance sheet here on our worksheet. So in my calculator, I would take $11,810. Now, I have to affect drawing with it. Is drawing going to increase or decrease capital? Decrease, right? So then I would subtract $855. The next thing that I need to do is I have to deal with my net income. Does a net income increase or decrease my owner's equity? Increase. So then I would add that $1,899. So I have to do math in order to get my capital to come out. That is the most common mistake that I find for this chapter, is that people do not go through and calculate their new owner's equity. So I got my new owner's equity of $12,854. Did anyone else get that number? Olivia's nodding. All right. Okay, so here's the second most popular mistake that happens. We're used to, like, all these numbers right here. I'm just going to add up and I'm going to have a total. So over here on the right-hand side, people go through and they add 548, 611, 659, and 12,854 to get this number. That's wrong. Why? Correct. So the only two numbers I need to add, Fox, are going to be my total liabilities, which is that 659, and my Ken Chernacki capital of 12,854. I need to add those two numbers, and it needs to go here on the bottom. The whole point of my balance sheet is this number, where it says total liabilities and owner's equity, has to equal my total assets. If it doesn't, I know there's a mistake, and I need to find and fix it. And if you can't find it and fix it, you say, Mrs. Grassel, I need some help, and I'll come help you find it. Most common mistake, if it doesn't come out, is because we didn't calculate that capital, though. So if I take 12,854 and I add my $659, I get $13,513, and I do my happy dance because my balance sheet equals. Whoop, whoop. Go ahead and try on your own.